Hello and welcome to our sensory series. This video is all about under-responsive proprioceptive children. And so what we're going to focus on, if you've seen the other videos, is all about the behaviours that you will be able to see to recognise if your child is under-responsive to proprioceptive input, and then talk about some strategies that you can integrate into day-to-day life to be able to support that sensory system. So proprioceptive input is basically that our brains is reacting less to the movement and the muscle feedback that we get. So it's all the feedback in our muscles and our tendons and our ligaments. And so with that muscle feedback, that gives us our body awareness. We know where our body is in space. If you are sitting with your legs crossed under the table, you know where your foot is still in space. And it really supports our emotional responses and our regulation responses to any sensory stimuli that is within the environment. So how would we observe if a child is under-responsive to proprioceptive input? So they may do lots of biting and chewing. So they may chew non-food items, they may chew on their sleeves, they may bite and chew on their pencils in the classroom, anything in relation to providing proprio muscle feedback in the jaw, clenching the teeth, grinding teeth, all those aspects in relation to the jaw muscles and seeking that proprioceptive feedback is regulating. Any hyperextension, so if any hyperextensions of joints, they are seeking proprioceptive input. Sometimes tiptoe walking can be a contributing cause. Now for tiptoe walking, it is not the only cause that could be it, but it could be because if you walk on your tiptoes, it increases that muscle feedback through the legs, and so it gives more awareness. It could be that they use too much force. So this can be in relation to play. They may be quite rough with their siblings or with their friends, and it doesn't matter how many times you say stop being so rough, that they are just, they are rough and they hurt people, but it's not that they meant to hurt people. It is just that they use too much force. They can't judge the amount of force in play to play effectively with other children. It may be in the classroom with handwriting. So they may put lots and lots of force through the pen and through the writing, so it can kind of go through the pages. And so they put too much pressure through them. It's imagine with proprioception that you've got a plastic cup and you're going to put the plastic cup on a table, and we know how much force to use so that the cup doesn't smash. A child with under-responsive to proprioception may put the cup down, it may crash, smash, and the water just goes everywhere. So, and then they may do lots of, they may be physically aggressive, they may throw themselves around, anything where, there may be some physical activity, some muscle feedback. So it could be punching things, it could be throwing things, it could be throwing themselves to the floor. All that provides that muscle feedback and that proprioceptive input that we need to regulate our emotions and increase our body awareness and feel a sense of safety within our own bodies. And this can really impact on functional difficulties, such as getting dressed in the morning, the playing interaction with others. It can impact on activities of daily living in the kitchen, and they may bump into lots of things constantly, because that body awareness just isn't there, so they appear really clumsy. So those are the kind of behaviors that you'll see from a child who's under responsive. So if I've made a trigger in your mind to think, actually, I know a child like this, or this is my son or daughter, what can you do about it? So any weight bearing activities, so any body weight exercises, any animal walks, all them kind of body weight exercises are really, really effective. Even things like a bit of a gym workout. Obviously that provides vestibular input as well. So it depends on kind of those activities to make sure it is regulating and not alerting for them. But kind of any kind of HIIT workout, there's loads on YouTube and everywhere that you'll be able to find, and just even just 5 to 10 minute blast, you know, could be effective for your child's nervous system to calm and regulate. We've got any kind of resistance activities, so any kind of pushing and pulling, you know, it could be even just everyday activities like pushing furniture around, cleaning the floors, any kind of pushing and pulling activities that you can do. So even games like tug of war, where you're providing resistance. You know, in therapy we use a big therapy ball, and you know, and I'll chase them with the ball, and then they've got to push me away and push, and I just put resistance behind it. It's not so much that they can never push it, but I put resistance behind it, so they've got to really push the ball away from me. So you can really integrate it into any kind of play-based activity, as long as you've kind of got the resources there available, because you can put resistance into a lot of play-based activities. So any kind of lifting, whether it be carrying the shopping bags and moving classroom books in the classroom, it could be carrying the laundry. You know, it can be quite a lot of everyday functional activities. It doesn't have to be something in a super duper OT clinic. It can be the practicalities of life, but it just provides that proprioceptive input to be able to regulate them. Any kind of cardiovascular activities, so any kind of running, any jumping on the trampoline. Us OTs love trampolines, so if you get a trampoline and you know, and really just support them in jumping on that effectively. I would advise that kind of you are a bit more sensitive if they are sensitive with the vestibular system, and kind of get some advice from an OT, because you know, the children can become very alert on or a trampoline, depending on what they're doing and what they like to do. So just take a bit of advice, but those are really good. Any kind of oral activities, so like I said, the jaw can often be an area. This is one of the strongest muscles that we've got, and it is there's a lot of things that we can do to seek proprioceptive input. I know when I'm getting stressed, I clench my jaw. So then I do a little bit mini sensory assessment on myself, but I know that I've got to regulate my body. So any kind of sucking, milkshakes, thick smoothies, yogurts, any kind of those activities through a straw. Even if you get a game and get like some little fluffy balls and you've got a straw and you've got to pick them up and then you've got to drop them in the bucket, you know, just so they've getting that input into the jaw and oral area. Or blowing, so blowing activities, so you know, making volcanoes and bubble volcanoes and getting lots of bubbles and blowing and blowing and blowing, so you get really big volcanoes. Or games, so you and your child get on the floor, cut some fish out with some paper, get a couple of straws and blow. You know, anything like that can be really, really effective, just to regulate the nervous system. And then any kind of deep pressure. So whether it be a really deep hug, whether it be using a therapy ball and provide pressure through, called squishing. We do have a video on our YouTube channel if you want to go and check that out, for regulation using a therapy ball. But any kind of weighted blankets, any kind of compression sheets that you might have through the night, all of those are really impacting on the proprioceptive system and helping support regulation. So those are kind of some general ones. And then, you know, if you're in a classroom and you are doing, you need just some regular, children are getting a little bit hyperactive, you need to regulate, you know, it could be just some hand compression exercises, you know, do some hand, some chair push-ups. Anything like that can work. Any kind of wall push-ups, if you've got just a space like this big, doesn't even have to be this big, but a wall push-ups that you can do some wall push-ups on, just to provide that muscle feedback in the upper body. Building obstacle courses, you can build an obstacle course no matter where you're at. You can always use a chair, a table to crawl under, to climb over. You can use blankets, you can use pillows. You can use logs outside, you can use big twigs, you can use bushes, you know, anything that, it doesn't matter where you are, you could make a really great obstacle course. And one of the most effective things, not effective, but a good thing, is you can get the children involved, because if the children have to pull the table to a certain place or push a chair somewhere else or pull the tree branches towards them, again, that's all that heavy muscle work. So don't think you've got to set it up. Part of the sensory input is actually setting the whole thing up in the first place. So it is, and to top it off, it is great fun, and the whole family can enjoy it. It is so fun. We love them in our team. I particularly love them anyway. So I hope this has made proprioceptive a little bit more useful for you. You understand what behaviours to see, and you understand what strategies you can use on a day-to-day basis, just to provide that input whilst you're in the house or in the classroom. If you've got any questions, please reach out and get in touch with us. Please feel free to have a look at our other videos and our sensory series to understand all the different sensory systems in a basic and simple way. And if you want to get in touch with us, please reach out at hello@therapeasy.com or www.therapeasy.com. And we are also on Facebook and Instagram. Okay, so I am going to leave it there. Thank you very much. Bye.